Lead Store fans, this week we're talking about the psychology of sales, how to actually get into your customer's brain. We're going to talk about 10 different psychological triggers that you can use to improve your conversion rate. My name's Bill Rice, and we're going to be back in just a second with that and more on this week's sales training. Okay, like I said in the intro, today we're going to talk about the psychology of actual buying processes, how you can get into the minds of your customers to improve your conversion rate. Now, this isn't some sort of devious trick, but it's important if you want to be a top-notch salesperson to really kind of understand the psychology of how we go about making buying decisions. And these 10 little factors are things that you should build your sales scripts around to help you kind of leverage that psychology of actually making the decision. So let's go through this list of 10. First and foremost, and I think this is a super powerful one, you as a customer, and again, as we go through all these, think about your own sort of buying decisions and what help. First and foremost, and I think this is a super powerful one, you as a customer, and again, as we go through all these, think about your own sort of buying decisions and what helps you kind of come over the top and actually make that eventual decision. But when we talk about negativity bias, this is simply our natural inclination to avoid pain. So inside of your product or your service, whatever you're selling, if it's insurance, if it's mortgage, solar, look at what pain do you overcome for that potential customer? What concern, what sort of negativity can they avoid by purchasing your product? And make sure that in your sales scripting, you're actually highlighting how you get rid of that pain, that concern, that anxiety that they are potentially feeling when they have engaged you as a lead to actually talk to you about a rate quote or potentially getting a quote for a solar installation. Any of those different types of lead type, again, think about what is the pain or the anxiety that you can alleviate, and make sure that you highlight that in your sales script. Number 2, novelty. I think this works particularly well in solar, right? There is some novelty to it. There is something about being kind of on the leading edge of technology, potentially kind of doing good things for the environment. There's some novelty to that sale. So again, let's figure out ways to highlight that so that the person who's already kind of thinking about that, you actually intensify that particular emotion. Same thing works with insurance. There's all kinds of new and innovative insurance products. Mortgage, same way, new and innovative, especially kind of as the mortgage cycle starts to kind of open up a little bit. There's home equity lines of credit. So think about those kind of innovative, unique, novel aspects of your product or your service and weave those into your script. Telling a story. This is so powerful. So often we come to our sales just sort of laying out whatever the attributes of the product are, the features of the product, maybe even the benefits. But if you can weave that into a story, if you can talk about the last customer you helped, maybe the last phone call you were on, and some of the concerns that particular customer brought up, that you can weave as a story into this next conversation. So look for and start to annotate, write down notes of stories that you can tell to other prospective clients that may potentially hit the same sorts of things that they're going through, the situations they're going to. Stories really enable you to kind of help that new prospect envision something that's probably not terribly tangible. If they're going to buy insurance, they're just say, hey, if something happens to me, I need life insurance, right? But if you can weave it into a story of how that's potentially changed someone's life, they can really start to contextualize the need for that particular product. So look for ways that you can tell stories, whether it's from somebody else maybe in your office. If you don't have a lot of experience and you haven't gathered kind of your own stories, talk about maybe somebody else in your office that's been helped by this particular product. And then again, if you've been in sales for a long time, you've probably had a lot of stories. You just kind of need to rack your brain and start to highlight those and then tighten them up so that you can tell that story in a quick little elevator pitch. Simple ways always wins, right? So whenever you're describing your product or your service, try to make it as simple as possible. People go into a process, and you kind of notice this, if you go into a website and you see a big old long web form, you're going to pause. You're like, that's hard. I don't have time for that. So try to break your product or service, the actual process, up into little bite-sized steps, and then make that as simple as possible. So whenever you're conveying, hey, this is what we need to do, make sure you interject those words about how simple and easy it is, and then make sure your process is broken down in such a way that every little piece is just that, simple and easy for them to kind of take that next step towards buying your product or your service. Finding a common enemy can be really powerful. Figuring out sort of who you're working against or why it's important to have the product that you're selling, because if not, this is the potential outcome. Insurance, life insurance might be a great situation here. Hey, if you don't have life insurance, then your family is kind of working against the system to kind of keep their same standard of living after an unfortunate event in your particular case that you pass away. And so finding kind of that common enemy, that person that you're going to fight against, can really make for a powerful sales pitch. So look for ways that you can leverage kind of the common enemy, the thing that you're working against and that your problem will solve. Inspiring curiosity. A lot of times when people, again, go into some of these sort of just vanilla type products, insurance, mortgage, things that are just feel like necessities that you have to have, if you can find some curiosity, some way to kind of educate them and tell them a little bit more about that product so that they become curious into how it works. And one of the ways that I've done this really effectively is in educating someone, I give them just kind of lesser known facts or little tidbits that often they take and share with their friends because it makes them sound smarter or they are more informed about their mortgage. And so those become referrals because by telling them that kind of little known fact, they are able to take that little tidbit and they like to share that because it makes them seem a little bit smarter to their friends. And of course, that turns into a referral. So inspiring some curiosity in your program and for your product is a really powerful sales conversion tool. Implementing scarcity. This can, again, be powerful because anytime that you can create some urgency, that's probably the biggest sort of barrier to closing a lot of our sales, whether you're talking insurance or mortgage or solar, is just kind of no urgency in that. Occasionally, maybe in a purchase or something like that, in a mortgage, there might be some urgency, but the more that you can kind of create that, oftentimes interest rates is a big motivator depending on kind of what's happening in the market. But looking for those little facets of your sales process where there is some scarcity or there is some need for urgency can be powerful in getting that conversion. Or when you're in the actual process of the sale, this is really true in mortgage or insurance, that kind of helps to quickly move them to the next step. Building a community. This is kind of goes to social proofing, but whether it's on Facebook, probably the most powerful way to do this, on Facebook or maybe even on your website, creating a sense that there are others like them when you're approaching your customer and being able to share with them and show them that community and that expertise that others are enjoying in working with you can be super powerful. You can do this with Facebook groups. You can simply do it with your Facebook page, getting a lot of engagement when people look you up or see you on Facebook. They can say, oh, that is the person that I need to go to. Look at all these people that trust them. So figuring a way to build a community around your product or your company. Any sort of hot trend, creating this FOMO effect, the fear of missing out. This can usually be triggered if you are using kind of news and trends and things that are happening. Again, this is a great place to leverage Facebook. If there's a lot of conversation around things on Facebook, you can actually get yourself in that conversation and be a part of, or somehow weave your product into whatever that news cycle is. Just educating the people that are in your pipeline, letting them know that, hey, this is out there in the news and it's potentially going to affect what mortgage rates are going to be. It's going to potentially affect the types of insurances that are available to you. Or maybe this is the exact time when you need to get involved in considering your health insurance because of open enrollment. So again, creating sort of that scarcity and urgency and some sort of FOMO effect, the fear that if they don't do something now, they're going to miss out on something that they need or want with a heavy desire. And then last but not least, and this should always be a part of your sales process, is just simply making your customers and prospects feel valuable, important, intelligent, really approaching them with a strong sense of empathy and respect can be super powerful. Ritz-Carlton has kind of showcased this. Chick-fil-A is another good example. Whenever somebody says, anything like thank you or whatever, it's always my pleasure. It's been my pleasure. So those kind of terminology, phrasings, just a mindset that you go into your customer by making them feel important, making them feel like the center of the conversation is super powerful. It's a heavy psychological trigger. So we went through real quick 10 psychological triggers that will help you get inside of the mind of your customer and help you convert more. As always, if you have any questions, thoughts, or maybe you want to add to this list, I would love for you to do that in the comments down below in this video. And then, of course, if you're enjoying these weekly sales trainings, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that little notification bell so that each and every week when we drop a new video, you'll get it first, even before it goes out on our newsletter. So hope that's helpful. Like I said, leave comments. Let's talk about it down below here. And I'm sure you've got a lot of different ideas of how to create psychological triggers that will help you convert better. Till next time, I'm Bill Rice, and this is Age Lead Store.